Closed captioning for Family Guy is brought to you in part by. Just like it was right off the grill. What if I told you you just ate a Whopper for burger? Oh my! I can't believe this is burger. This has changed my entire perception of burger. Get a free Whopper with register on the EK app. Your way, way better.
Mira, how could you do this to me?
Well, now, honey, I gotta write a book report on all that's worth. All the truth to you all to be. I haven't done things rather differently. I can tell you that. Please, sir, I want some more. What? Please, sir, I want some more. More? All right, hold it right there. Now go on, fill up the boat. Go on. That's it. Now, hold on his dress. Hold it on. Now, dance. You're right. The guy who wrote this, his name, Charles Dickens.
I want an explanation, mister.
Hey, Connie, pull up powerful. Hey, when the most popular girl in school asks you to dance, you don't say no. You say, okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, and you, can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you perfectly.
Okay, that's good because I have air conditioning and here is very hot.
No, yeah, it's very hot here too. So completely.
I didn't know there was the noise was too big, you know.
No, I can hear, I can see you, can hear you. And just before we start, are you okay with me recording this interview?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, perfect. So I'm starting to record it now. So just as a little introduction, so I'm interviewing you on behalf of Taino DNA and Genealogy. It's an organization, I don't know how familiar you are with it, or if you've ever spoken to any members of it, but through Facebook, I saw that we had some mutual friends who are also part of that group as well. So just to give you a little bit of background, it was started by Dr. Juan Morales Alveles. He is an MD and genealogist who's been actively working to try to fight back against the idea that Taino are extinct. And by not just physically, obviously through genealogical and DNA studies, for those of us like myself, yourself, everyone who have Taino blood and heritage in us, but also through cultural traditions that still survive throughout the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cuba, all the way through Jamaica, Haiti, everywhere, that come from common Taino ancestral heritage. So that's what the project he's currently working on. And sorry.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Now, but so, and I myself am an anthropologist, is focused on sociocultural anthropology, and also a folklorist and ethnomusicologist. So that's how I first became familiar with you way back when I was doing my folklore and ethnomusicology master's degree. And I also had known who you were before for being, from being Taino myself, and having heard your music in our archives, and I was a big fan right away. So this is an honor for me to speak to you. But now, for the purpose of this interview, a lot of people from our group and beyond want to know kind of how your Taino heritage really influenced you in your music career, and what your background was in terms of how you became a musician, a singer-songwriter, and how you use your indigenous heritage in that role, but also, good Lord, I'm sorry.
Nobody's okay, don't worry, don't worry.
And how you use that platform as well to spread awareness of Taino culture and of indigenous culture in general.
Okay.
So if you want to start by just introducing yourself, I mean, I know who you are, most of us know who you are, but for anybody who is who will be seeing this later on, who doesn't know before, just introduce yourself in any way you'd like, and give us a little bit of background of yourself.
Okay. So my name is Irka Mateo, and I come from Quisqueya. Part of my family comes from San Juan de la Maguana. I have two, one grandmother, maternal grandmother, and the paternal grandfather's family who come from this place, San Juan de la Maguana, which is considered the Dominican capital of the Taino culture. Maguana is where Anacaona and Caonabo will govern together, and there are a lot of culture that has remained and that has been passed generation to generation. And so some of my family come from there. So from a young age, I was really driven to know about all this. My grand my grand aunt has also told me stories because in this place until the 40s, 45, 1945, more or less, there was still this festival to Anacaona,
Mm-hmm.
where yes, young women were elected to be Anacaona, and they will do these processions, and this woman will be seated in the Piedra de Anacaona in the center of what is called today there Corral de los Indios, and where people say that Anacaona will sit, and so they will recreate all these custom, and they will play Palos. So there were, a lot of um, stories, and about the Indians living under the water, in the rivers and the springs, So this is all fascinating. And so I started going to the countryside in 1985, um, going because I was very interested in the Dominican folkloric music, and there is a tradition between the Dominicans musicians who do what today we call alternative Dominican music. So I was the second generation of this tradition, and we will go to several places and record with our cassettes in that time, and talk to the people, do interviews, learn the rhythms, and learn the lyrics and the repertory of different genres. And at the beginning, I was just around Santo Domingo, where I was born, where I was brought up, and going to see the Salves and the Congos, which are more African oriented. But then later on I have been all my life like living abroad and living for periods of time in the Dominican Republic. So in 1997, I came back from Montreal, where I was living at the time, and I started looking in the music and the Taino survival in the southwest of the Dominican Republic. This is where I encountered this practice of the shamanism alive.
Mm-hmm.
This was in the 2002 that I arrived to the Calvario de Liborio Mateo, which is in Maguana, in San Juan de la Maguana. And it is some kilometers away from the Agüita de Liborio, which they are the two of them connected, because in the Calvary of Liborio Mateo, you go and they give you the pass, as they say, is the permission to go to take the bath to the Agüita de Liborio. before continuing, I'm going to say that Liborio Mateo was a spiritual leader. Um, he was also a curandero, and yes, and he he still worship because people think that he didn't die. He died physically, but he's still there, and they are waiting for him to come back. He was killed by the Marines and the Dominican government in 1922 because he had a lot of following, and he they were very afraid that he will become a political leader, and he will help the peasants. So it was not in their interest because in those times in the Dominican Republic, the Europeans have moved in um, some years before, and in the times before they moved in, the people from Maguana, from San Juan de la Maguana, they have communal lands. They were still very indigenous people that nobody owned the land.
Mhm.
So when these Europeans arrived, they started to buy the land to the peasants, and things started to get complicated, and they started to be well, they were, you know, they were not fair with them. So Liborio Mateo became a protector of the peasants and the lands. So you can see that somebody who does that to this population, well, and having all these healing powers, so he became really someone that people will worship and will follow everywhere where he was. So there in the Calvario de Liborio Mateo, he used he used to be there. This is a place where he will hang out, and and there is a stone, a very big stone that the people who who takes care of the Calvary, they use it for healing purposes. So we are seeing like the semi that doesn't have any sculptural form. So we are talking about the Boutillos semis that were used for, you know, when the Boutillos of the ancestors, they will heal something. They will take this stone from their mouth and say that this was what was causing the illness, right? And then this stone at the same time was going to be used for helping the women to give birth. So this stone is fulfilling this purpose, you know, because they what they mostly do, or Reina Alejandro Jimenez, who was there for 40 years until she she passed, she will sit there the women who were pregnant or people who will have some kidney problems. So it was something about around here, you know. So this is a lot coinciding about the use of these stones, these semi with no sculptural forms, with the healers, the Boutillos. And but at the same time, it also fulfills the purpose of the semis of the caciques that will have them in their places in the caney and will worship it, you know, with offerings and songs, because this is done every day until now. It's still being done there. That
Wow.
every morning, oh yes, every morning they will pour water. They will they will pour coffee too. Coffee is very important for the day, so you can wake up.
Of course.
Yes,
I'm
and
Cuban, I know that.
yeah, you know, so we are coffee countries, and then they will light a candle, and they will they will they light these candles and do this ritual every day because they want this stone to have more power, and to also to to keep the power that it has, the healing powers. You see, and this service, as they say, the offerings, they call them servicios. So they will do them for Liborio Mateo and to, as they say, Reina Nacaona and the Rey Caonabo. So they are, this semi represents the soul, the spirit of the three, um, well, these personajes from our history, Anacaona and Caonabo, and from this also this other personaje of our history and our healing arts, who is Liborio Mateo. So here you are having this cult to the ancestors
Right.
that we also had in the times of our ancestors that performed by the caciques. So this is the first thing that I saw in the countryside of the permanence of the spiritual culture. And so another thing that I also, very important thing that I saw and did an interview was this woman in Asua. Asua is another province that is more to the to the east. Um, that is just before arriving to San Juan de la Maguana from Santo Domingo. You go Santo Domingo, Bani, Asua, and San Juan de la Maguana. So going back, so you go to Bani. Bani is also another province where we have like a lot of Taino culture there, and a lot of Taino phenotype, and they there we also have the people there. They have reconstructed the ball game.
Oh, the Betty Court.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30 years ago, they started, more than 30 years ago, like 40 years ago, they started doing that. And they will, even in those times, do some tournaments with people in Boriken.
Yeah.
And yes, so they still have it, and they have a lot of teams there of the Batu, of the Batey.
Batu, yeah, but I think Batu is the game. Betty is the court. I believe that it's played
Yes.
on.
Yeah, we call it Batey, the game, we call it Batu, and we call it, yes, we call it both ways. So then there is another practice that is still alive. Um, that is the ritual of Yukahu, of burying a Yukahu on the mounds of the Conucos, you know, where they are going to plant the yuca and the plátanos and everything that we plant today in our modern day Conucos.
Mhm.
And this is another practice that is still alive there. After 528 years, we still have this Yucahu ritual going on in the Dominican countryside, you see. So these are like the main things that I have seen and documented. So all these, I have videos. I have ethnographical videos that you can find in my YouTube page. That is Irka Mateo. I recently wrote an article about the Taino spirituality survival with Jorge Esteves.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
he just made me a very beautiful headdress. So.
Yeah. Jorge and me, we've been working together for 20 years.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And when I was still my last time that I was living there, it was before I moved to New York in 2007. So we started working together when I was going to the countryside, and he was still here, and he was in New York working at the Museum of the American Indian.
Yeah, I worked there as well because I am in Washington, D.C. So very familiar.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah.
So when I moved to New York, I started working there too.
Yeah.
And in 2007, so I worked there for 10 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes.
Long before I was there, but.
Yes. Yeah. We're coming before.
Yeah. Well before.
Then we will leave and you'll be there.
Yeah.
So then there I was doing educational and artistic programs for children and youth, and also for adults on Taino culture. So so yeah, this is that. Then Jorge and me, we are always working together, and we just wrote this article about the spirituality, the survival, that you can find is in Spanish. It was published 2 weeks ago, and in this magazine from the Department of History of the Universidad Autónoma de Santo Domingo, that is called WAST, and it is there. The magazine is called Ecos, and our article is called En la Tierra del Agua Dulce, and so you will find it there. And
I think he posted about, that sounds familiar. I think he sent
yeah,
something to
yes,
us about
look for it, because it's gonna give you a lot of light about this theme, this subject. And then we also inserted there some of these videos. I put the video that I produced in 2004 about the Yucahuray ritual. I posted also another one that I just did last year about the semi at the Liborio Mateo um, Calvary. And then there is one from Jorge. He did an interview in San Juan de la Maguana too, to somebody who will practice the agua dulce, which is the branch of the Dominican popular religion that is just consecrated to the indigenous people.
Mhm.
And that the altars are very different. They are just stones and just indigenous. We don't have any Catholic iconography.
Oh, okay, so it's not like Santari. It's not like
No,
a mixed tradition. It's solely indigenous
it's
tradition.
just
Okay.
indigenous. We have them there also in San Juan de la Maguana. And so we have this third video is there. So this article has a lot of information there that you can see. So I was interested in folkloric music since 1985, and I went to other countrysides in the east, but I was more looking to the more Afro music until I started going south. Yeah, yeah. So in Bani, there is also, well, when I was there recording and documenting the music of the solstice that they play in the solstice, I also uh, saw um, these offerings and to the indigenous people, to also to Anacaona and Caonabo. So, and Bani is the first town. It's just 1 hour from Santo Domingo, um, going to the west. You see, and there on June 24th, that is gonna be very soon. After the solstice, we have the San John the Baptist celebration on the 24th, because you know that the Spanish people, they will put their celebrations close or on the dates that the indigenous people will have the celebration, because they already have the following.
Right. Easier to
Right?
convert people to Christianity when you can do that.
Exactly. And then, but there, when you go to the celebration of San John the Baptist, for the public in general who doesn't follow the call to the ancestors that we have going on there, then they don't know that this is also um, a, we call them a fiesta, um, that is also for the indigenous people. So there in Bani, um, during these times that we celebrate San John the Baptist, we also have the main altar is San John the Baptist, but we also have one other altar that is just solely for Anacaona and Caonabo, and we do offerings there. And we put, well, a lot of sweet
Rome
things,
wine.
it is no, it's different. It's different for the indigenous. The offerings for the indigenous people, um, there is everything is sweet because in the Dominican Republic in Quisqueya, we think that the Indians, they call them, don't eat salt. They so every offering for the indigenous people is just sweet things. It's like cakes, a lot of different cakes, and
Pastelitos and things like that.
like what?
Pastelitos and
They do different cakes, and they do a lot of desserts in general, and they do this with corn that we
okay.
call, yes, that we call chaca. It is something that is done in San Juan de la Maguana. Is from there.
Mhm.
So we put a lot of dessert that has corn, and also we put for drinking we put soda, like colored sodas.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, no
Coca-Cola,
Coca-Cola, no
no
Coca-Cola. It is
Coca-Cola. Okay.
colored, like the ones that are framboise, that are colored. They put the grapes soda that
Okay. Okay.
you
Yeah.
see that is purple, so they put this one. They put the red one that is framboise, and then they put another one that is yellow. So everything is sweet and colorful because the indigenous, they say that the indigenous ancestors don't like dark colors. They just like lively colored things
Yeah.
and sweet, you see? So then we do that there, and we put also a lot of the sunflower because it is the solstice. This is the day of the sun, so they included they they adorn everything with the sunflower. So this is a reminiscence of the celebrations that we will do, that we used to do to the caciques on the day of the sun, because they were representations of the sun. They were the caciques. So we still have that connection.
Right. And Anacuana's name means golden flower, I believe.
Yes,
So there's
yes,
kind of
yeah,
that connection there as well.
yes. And Kaonabo too, that the one who looks like gold.
Mhm.
So the connection hasn't been lost. It is still there through the sunflower. You see? So there we also do that, and there is another little altar in another place in the same celebration, where we there in that place we have a Catholic iconography, and it's San Sebastian, because they say that San Sebastian is el indio del agua, is the Indian from the water. So the people, and we have a lot of music there going on the whole day, right? And the celebration begins the 23rd at night, and then people, it just stays there. People don't sleep. In the morning, they do a procession to the river, and it's very Catholic. And then they come back, and they have this party going on until 6 p.m. And so when they come back to the place where the altar is, then the people who are um, devotees of the indigenous people, they go to the little altar, or where Anacaona and Kaunabo is, and they do their offerings there, and also to the another altar where is San Sebastian, and there is some water, faucet that you can open, and they have a bucket. So when people get um, in 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 um, in a in trance,
Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
as they are worshiping an indigenous entity, and we believe, and and the the Taino spirituality is called agua dulce, sweet water. They will fill the this bucket, and they will put it, so they will get all wet, and this is a way that they are worshiping these indigenous people, and also because we believe, as I said before, that the ancestors live
In the
under the water, So but we are talking about spirits because we think that the spirits of our ancestors live, you know, below the rivers and at the bottom of the rivers, and you can find walking in in these areas. You can go to springs, you can go to rivers, and you can find offerings to the indigenous ancestors. And they put a lot of, another thing that they put is a lot of fruits. They put pineapples. They also put coco indio, coconut indio, and I don't know why they put a sugar cane because this is not indigenous and it's not endemic from there. But and even the coconut, but they also use it and a lot of other fruits and cornmeal that they do like veves, like the voodoo, because it looks like the veve from the voodoo. You know, all these
Mm-hmm.
representations
Mm-hmm.
they come from the Taino culture.
Mm-hmm.
So they do kind of also these veves there in the river. So this is a practice that you can see very often when you go to this countryside, you know. And so when I was there in Banin in this solstice celebration, they play two rhythms that I am very fond of. One is called bomba, but it's not the Puerto Rican bomba. It's
Okay.
another one.
Yeah.
And then they play another rhythm that is called hakana. And these are the two more indigenous dances that we have in the Dominican Republic. They are round dances, and you can see that the movements. If you do a comparative ethnography, then you can see that the movement are more, you know, indigenous movement than African movement.
Right. Like what would be done in an arieto or.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So there in this San Juan Bautista in Bani, so you have this and the Hakana rhythm. It is the rhythm that is played for the ancestors, and just the elders can dance it. And
Okay.
it is a rhythm that goes it is very slower, even though sometimes the young people can play it very fast, but usually it is a slow rhythm. Taka 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 oh se va, oh se va, oh hey, oh se va, oh amarse a per, oh dame la mano, oh amarse a per, oh dame la mano. So they are talking to the ancestors. Amancia Penis was an ancestor who kept this tradition alive. So they are talking to all these people who have kept the tradition alive for centuries. And this is why it's an homage to the ancestor. And it is just played by the elders because, you know, even the lyrics go, oh, she's living, oh, se va. You know, it's like the ancestor is living. These elders, they are living, they are living earth. And so it is very beautiful to see this. I have some of these footages of people dancing the Hakana in a video that I have in my channel too. It was a concert that I did as an offering to the ancestors in 2003 in the Dominican Republic that is called Sur Condursi. Sur Condursi means south with the sweet. because of this, you know, all these offerings to the Taino ancestors are sweet things.
Mhm.
So the south, it is a place where we give these sweet offerings to our ancestors. And so Dursi, I say Dursi because it's the accent of the people from the south. They don't say dulce like we would say. They trade the L by the R, and they say and they E by the I. So instead of saying sweet dulce, they will say dursi. So this concert is where this concert was called Sur con Dulce, and it was beautiful. We put at the entrance. Um, I had this photographer coming with me for some of my trips there. His name is Carol Gonzalez, and he took beautiful pictures for documenting this work, and then we exhibit a lot of these pictures. And at the entrance was I had recorded the sound at night of the countryside, how all these little insects that were, you know, that were singing in this countryside. So when you got to the concert, you just had
A
the night
cookie.
sound, yeah, the night sounds. There we don't have the coquille, but we have grillos,
Yeah,
and
I always think of the cookie. That.
yeah, I know, I know.
So,
I
yeah.
wish we have cookies, but in the north of the island.
Right,
I don't
right.
know how they came there, you know. Yeah, so you will have this grillo sound, and then we had a big altar, like an agua dulce altar with all the sweets and all the fruits and the sodas and everything, and everything. Well, my friends, everybody contributed, and we had a beautiful paintings as a as yes in the stage, and we have tinajas and. Well, all the setup was indigenous, and I have a friend of mine who dressed like a shaman because my group in that time was called Irka Mateo. It was a game of words that meant combo is in the Caribbean. Combo is a music group is called combo, like for merengue.
Oh,
El combo de Johnny Ventura, for example. Okay,
okay. Yeah.
so I said Irka combo tea, combo uti, but it was really with the bouti. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Con. Yeah. Oh, I
yes, this
see.
was yeah, but at the same time, Irka combo tea. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm going. Oh,
Ooh.
yeah, it's there, Daisy. So then, um, yeah, I had a friend who was dressed in the times. You know, this was like almost 20 years ago. He was dressed as a boutillo. His name is Eddie Herman, which was one of the pioneers of the studies and and activism in the Dominican Republic in Quisqueya for the Taino survival. And we are still working together. You know? So to this concert, I brought these two rhythms, you know, because they are like the most representative of what we have in music there. You can find this in my YouTube channel. Is Sur Condursi. So then I also played the bomba. The bomba is also another like areito like rhythm of people. They are dancing in couples, but they are going also round going.
Mhm.
And this one is reserved for the young people because it goes very fast, you know. So this is what we have, but we also have another rhythm that is called palos. That is this rhythm is the Dominican um, folkloric rhythm, but I will also say that this is like the Dominican rhythm because it's also more than the merengue because it was even the many of the songs from the merengue came from the palos that
Mhm.
which are played with three long drums that you
Mhm.
tie to your waist and they go up to yes, and they go they go up here on your belly, and there are three drums, long drums like this, and with a guiro. So also some of the dances of the palos in the Cibao, like in a place called Cotuí, there we also see like areito-like dances.
Mhm.
So the palos is also, you know, so this rhythm is also tied to the to the indigenous dances that remain in the Dominican Republic. And when I went also to the Calvary of Liborio Mateo, I got very influenced because people says there that, well, Liborio was an Afro-Indigenous man. He will do these healings, this energy healing, and he also will give you this concoction that he would prepare that was called tirindanga. My latest group here in New York, there in New York, is called Irka Mateo y la Tirindanga, because it's the healing, it's music for healing, it's a healing through joy. And I got inspired when I was doing my work in the Calvary of Liborio Mateo. This music, this sacred music to Liborio Mateo is played or palos, which is a palos. Oh my God, I have to go and get my um,
Charger?
yeah, the
Yeah.
battery is dying. Just a second, please.
No problem.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No problem. Noise, I can't hear you. No, can't. Something like a battery or something. Here, sorry. I can't hear your voice. I hear I can almost hear the sound of the computer or something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, let me see because this is okay. So going to the Calvary Liborio Mateo influenced a lot my music because because it is sacred. They do sacred music and they do festive music, social dancing music, right? Um, as he was an Afro-Indigenous, and I was telling you about the Tirindanga. Um, he also, people says there that he has a pact with the indigenous people, and he will go. I went with my informants there. I went to places where he used to go and heal other body of water because La Agüita de Liborio, where he used to heal there in Maguana, is the birth of a river. So everything has to do with the river, with the water and the streams. So I went to other places where they were the Liborista crosses that are I'm saying, 3 crosses, and the Padre, el Hijo, and Espíritu Santo, but painted in blue. I'm gonna show you. I have one of them here.
Okay.
These are the Liboristas.
Oh, yeah. I love that color.
Yeah, so, and this is the color of the water,
Right.
So this is the color of the Liboristas. And so they have this in the altar. And so as you see, all this worshiping and all these healings has to do with the water. And there is another thing that in Agüita de Liborio, where he used to heal, and it's still a peregrination place. Still people go there from all over the country to receive the healing of Liborio Mateo, because as I told you, he's considered alive. But not only the healing of Liborio Mateo, which is the main character, but because they say that this Agüita de Liborio is governed by him, but also by Anacaona and Caunabo. So the people go there to get the healing of the caciques, you see. And you know that it is also said and it's believed that Anacaona still lives there in La Agüita de Liborio in the form of a crab. And so, and she has a little cave where she lives. So every time that you go to the Agüita, you need to go also to this cave to see if you see Anacaona. And then you will get also her blessing for you know for healing.
Mhm.
So people go there, and people there in the Agüita del Liborio, they also do services. They do offerings there to Anacaona. So when you go, you see a lot of these colored sodas, and you see all these fruits and all these cakes and all the things, and all this is still alive. It's pretty much alive, and people are always going there. So they go to the Calvary. They receive the the permission to go there. The people who are in the Calvary, taking care of the Calvary. There is this woman called Carmen de la Rosa, who got who was trained by Reina for 7 years before she died, and now she's in charge of the Calvario. So she's doing the same thing, and she's a curandera. So they also can heal you, and her husband, who sometimes is there, he's also curandero, and so you can also have treatment with them, but they also give you the permission to go, or the blessing, you know, to go to the Agüita Liborio, that is a mile up El Calvario, so you can go there and bathe in this river, in the birth of this river, and receive them the healings of Liborio and Anacaona and Caunabo. And there people also, they go and they do the celebrations with palos. They play the palos, and they play the accordion. Because in the accordion is the music from there too, together with the palos, which is just percussion. And then they have this sacred genre that is called comarca. That was one of the things. This was also that one of my contributions that was not known in the, you know, out of there. This genre of accordion was not known. So this was one of the things that I had the opportunity to document. And this is a sacred rhythm that we play to Liborio Mateo. So I got very inspired of going there. I stayed there, you know, going there 7 years. And Reina Alejandro Jimenez, this elder, you know how it is when you start doing research, that you just end up believing and transform, and just, you know, so I became an Iborista.
Yeah, I did the same kind of thing. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
You know exactly, right? This is in the anthropology. This is in the academic world. You know, this world. This is one of the things, you know, that you shouldn't do.
Yeah, you're supposed to keep objective, and then
Exactly, but sometimes that doesn't work.
yeah, hard. I know.
You know, so. So going there also those 7 years, and so they just transformed me and transformed my life and transformed everything. And so I started doing accordion music, other than the music with the you know, the percussion and guitars, because before that I just used to do music with guitar, bass, drums, and percussions. But then now I add to the mix for this my most recent album, Vamos a Gozar. I added the accordion, and all the songs are played with the accordion, um, because when I was there, you know, I was learning from Reina, and one of the most simple and things that I just got was this love for the people. this compassion for the people. She was a healer, you know, and that is unconditional love for anybody, because these are teachings of the Liborismo. And also this devotion to Liborio Mateo, and this devotion to Anacaona and to Caunabo, and also Guarocuya, which is known by his Spanish name, Enriquillo.
Mhm.
You know? So I learned that, and I would stay there, you know, for a week to 2 weeks, and I will sleep there. So I was able to really get to know the, the life, like the domestic life of the Calvary, when the people came, and you know, the children who will pick the accordion at night, and they will have little parties, you know, like 8 and 7 years old kids, you know, playing the accordion and the tambor and the guiro,
Yeah.
and you know, having these parties. So it was the time of the gandules, so we were there opening the gandules, and the kids will be playing the palos, or the paleros will come, and they will people dancing, and we will be just, you know, taking the, you know, the parts of the gandules out of, you know. So it was the life at the Calvary was a life of love and a life of joy. And this influenced my music a big deal. And this is why my most recent CD, as I say, album, Vamagosa, is all accordion music, you know. And also, you know, it's a music that comes from a sacred place. It is a music that comes from the call to our ancestors, Afro-Indigenous and Indigenous ancestors, and it was something very special, you know? So this happened. I have also music that comes from the bomba and the jacana. I have included that also in the rhythms that I use as a singer-songwriter, um, because of the same of the same reason, because these are rhythms that that are part of our of our worshiping our ancestors.
History.
So this is it for that, and then in the countryside, also in the Dominican countryside, there are a lot of legends of people that a lot of provincial or peasants, however we want to call them, you know, um, they talk about a lot of encounters that they have had with the spirits of the indigenous, but they materialize them. You know, they say that they saw them, that they were, for example, for saying something. There was this man, but this was in another place. This was it is there in San Juan de la Maguana. There are very big mountains there, and they are the central mountains, and we have very high places there. And so I went there to, I had another informant that took me there because he knew that I was looking for people with this, I know, like that they look indigenous. So I ended up going there. That was one of the most amazing trips that I did in the countryside. It was very high. It was like 3,000 meters or more over the level of the sea. We went in mules. It took us 9 hours to get there.
Wow.
In the mules. Yeah, it was a long trip. It was beautiful, you know, where we took the mules. It was the confluence of 3 rivers at 5 in the morning. You know, it was beautiful. And then just going up in those mules, you know, to the Touré. We were going to the Touré, you know, and seeing everything, how everything, you know, became so small. And so this community lives there. The name of this town is like Guerra. Now it's not like that, because this was like 20 years ago. Now there is a a road that goes there because you know, the mining company that there is very awful what happened. And so, but there I encountered this man who, when he was a kid, uh, he was uh, he was watching the river from a stone, and he fell. He fell from the rock, from the, yeah, it was a big rock, from the rock, and he was drowning. And he says that this indigenous woman who was a youth took him in his arms and brought him back to the rock where he was, and she saved his life.
Oh, wow.
So this man, at this time that I met him, he was probably in his 50s, and he will do offerings to this spirit that materialized in these rivers with the children every certain time. He will go there with the palos, you know, you see, so they will play the palos because they are also palos that have um, lyrics that talk about the you know, the ancestors, like they are Palos and Acaona. They are like with the Palos, with the regional Palos from San Juan de la Maguana, that go like that. Ya llegó la reina, llegó, ya llegó, reina Nacaona, llegó, ya llegó, ay, mírala bailando, llegó, ya llegó, ay, con su baileito, llegó, ya llegó la reina, ay, reina Nacaona, ay, ya llegó la reina, ay, reina Nacaona, ya llegó, you see? So yeah, they play to Anacaona and they dance to her, you know, when they are doing their, you know, their offering. So he will go to this place with the paleros, with the three men, with and the guirero, and he will go there to do some offerings to this spirit that materialized and saved his life. You see, and he will go with children because the indigenous, this is why we call it also agua dulce, because they believe that the indigenous people are sweet spirits, they are good spirits, and they are related to the um, to the spirit of a child, you know, to this honesty, to this goodness, to this, you know, to the spirit of a child. So that is why, for example, when they go to do offerings, they bring children, and they have all these sweet things that they give to the children. You know, so they put the offering for the ancestor, but a part of this offering is given to the children. So this is why the children are all the time, like in the places where I have gone and documented all these spiritual Taino survivals. The children is part of the actors of these offerings. No, so you know, he will do that. And in San Juan de la Maguana, in Maguana, for example, as I told you, in Bani, they do on the 24th, the St. John Baptist is also for the indigenous ancestors, but also in Maguana, they do it on the 21st, 22nd, and the 23rd. They do the services to Anacaona, Caunabo, Guarocuya, and all, our ancestors, and this is different because it's not on the John Baptist Day. They kept the solstice date of the 21st, and this is when they do the offerings, and they bring the palos, they bring the accordion music because they bring two different groups. This and they also do this chaca made out of the corn and other sweet things, and they call the children from the place, and they bring them to the altar, and they are on a line, and they will serve all this chaca to the children in name of the ancestor. You see,
Yeah.
so the worshiping to the indigenous ancestors and the music are united. It's one thing. You cannot have an offering and if when it's the day of the celebration, like the solstice, so you need the music and you need the dance. So the people will dance, the people will play this music and all and these offerings. Then we will do the offerings to the ancestor. We will put the cassava together with everything that I have told you. And so the usually these celebrations they go from 9 in the morning to 6 p.m. So it's a whole day of celebration, and they do in the middle of the sets they do some prayers in front of the altar.
Mhm.
See, so this happens when we celebrate Irka Mateo on April 19th, and it happens when we celebrate the ancestors in June. That the these celebrations are coming up, and so all this call to the ancestors uh, is tied with sweets, with water, and with music. Yeah. So I think that
Yeah, you definitely did. The one that was, first of all, thank you so much. That was a really amazing explanation into the inner relationship of music with Taino culture and heritage, and how it persists today. And being a folklorist and ethnomusicologist, I totally understand like what you mean by those how it's like this constant really living thing that you can feel when you're there, and if you want to be part of it when you're there. That's certainly what I've experienced every time I've gotten involved in things like this, and it's beautiful to see. And also even just the way it combines with other traditions like African, Spanish, and all of it, and to create this new really beautiful thing that we have that I think is very unique in the Caribbean in terms of our culture. But we're almost out of time, but I wanted to, I had some people had some questions from the group that they wanted me to ask you specifically before we go. There's like two of them that I think we didn't cover, so I'll just ask them really quickly. So people want to know, was it your own, did you always know about your own Taino heritage, and that is what led you to be interested in this and learn more and expand more? Because in my family, nobody really talked about it quite as much after my mom immigrated from Cuba, because there was a lot of anti-Cuban sentiment in the United States at that time, and so they kind of like, no, you didn't want to talk about it. And it was only later when I started learning from like my grandmother and my great aunts and everything about our indigenous heritage. But some people, perhaps like yourself, may have grown up more with it. So that's what some people were asking here.
Yes. I there are two things. There are my family from San Juan de la Maguana who told those stories. So I was already listening to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also something that I have that was spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
That it was something that came to me from my heart. It was something that was calling me.
Yeah, I was going to say you felt a calling to it.
Yes, I felt the calling to, and then all these made sense with my family, and and then even more when I started going in the countryside. I was 25 years old, so it was I was pretty young
Mm-hmm.
when I started. I was not living there. I left from 17, from 18 to 25. I was not living in the country. I was studying abroad, and then I came back with 25 years old, and I started going deep. But already before I left, I would go a lot to the el Museo del Hombre Dominicano, which is the anthropological museum, and I will visit a lot. And they will, in those times, they will have these cuadernos de antropología, and I will start, you know, reading them, everything, archaeology and things like that. And I asked my family to send that to me. So I was receiving that all the time since I was 17 years old. I was, wherever in the world that I was, I would receive this by mail, you know, so, you know, I was since.
And they're always connected.
Always connected.
Always connected.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, and I definitely understand that. When I was probably around the same age is when I started to really dig deeper into it and uncover more of my history, because that's when my grandmother and great grandmother started talking to me about it, and I was like, oh, I didn't know this. Mom never talked about this.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I felt that same, like, that connection that, you know, I want to know more and everything, and I want to know more, not just read more, but I want to get more personal experience with all of it. So that's really amazing to hear. And it also, from what I can tell and what someone else was asking, it looks like you use your music and your you know, performances in general to kind of educate and spread awareness of the not just Dominican culture and heritage, but specifically indigenous and Taino indigenous heritage as well. Is that, would you agree with that?
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, because, you know, even though I use an accordion, or even though I use, yes, because I am very free in the music that I do. You know, I have probably two songs that use Mayahuacan. One is a song that I wrote to Anacaon, and another song that is a folkloric song that we believe that is a Taino, that is called Maboba. And it's in my album Anacaona. So just there, but the lyrics, even though I made a song and decided that this is a mangulina, that is another genre of accordion that we play there in San Juan. You know, the lyrics talk about something in the Taino culture.
Yeah.
You see, so because I do now, it's like an old term, like to say fusion, you know, but I like to mix everything, you know.
In anthropology we say syncretism. It sounds more up to date, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. I do.
Yeah,
I do what I feel that I do. I am not a purist that I just do Mayahuacan and the traditional, you know, instruments. I do that too, because I sing a lot with my Mayahuacan, just that, and some maracas that I attach, and I can do that. But this is more in in another kind of work that I do. But this work that I was doing in the, you know, as a singer-songwriter, a recording artist, and touring artist, I will have these full bands, you know, and I could talk about you know, some of the lyrics of the song will talk about indigenous culture. So I have brought all this indigenous culture to, like, broaden it, you know, broaden it. It doesn't have to be traditional, and I don't know. I don't have an album of traditional or using traditional instruments. Probably this is something that I'm going to do, but I'm not sure, you know. So this is it. And I dress with my headdresses.
yeah, I've seen the videos and the photos.
Yeah, with the headdresses, and before we had headdresses 20 years ago, I will always use something that is Taino, and I will play my Mayahuacan. You know, I started playing the Mayahuacans in the 2000, 20 years ago in Quisqueya. You know, that was something new that nobody knew about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so this is it. And now in this stage of my life, I'm very interested in the shamanism, in what and all these healing methods that we have there, um, that come from our shamanistic culture. I'm practicing shamanism.
Wow.
Yes, I'm really deep into this because, you know, since always my theme has been healing, you know, healing the wounds of um, of the colonization. So I am very much prone to healing and to spirituality. And in this part of my life now, uh, I'm I'm doing that.
Okay, that's very relevant to what is going on in the world now, both with the health crisis and the social issues and justice. So it's kind of interesting to be talking
Yes,
about it right now.
yes. I'm doing a full moon and new moon ceremonies, and I do shamanic journeys for the people, and I also do shamanic work for people like power animal retrievals and.
Wow, I would love to attend one of those
Oh yes,
ceremonies.
I am. I'm. You know, now in this last, like this last part of my life when I am studying. You know, to go. You know, from now to the end of my life, I think that this is what I'm doing. Of course, that I'm and I'm doing other kind of songs. You know, I'm doing healing songs with my Yowakan and chanting. You know, I'm pretty much in the shamanic studies and training with elders from Amazonian traditions, and so I want to recover that. I was always there because when I was in the Calvary, it was healing, you know, and this album. Pamagosa is healing through joy, but it's healing. The healing is always there. But now I went hardcore.
Okay, stepped it up.
Yes, yeah. And I'm very happy, you know, to be using the music and using my voice as a conduit for healing and doing these ceremonies for yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. I would love to. I mean, you're in California, but if I'm next time I'm over there and you are,
Oh no, but I do because of the COVID too. I have moved my ceremonies, my moon ceremonies. I have moved them online.
oh, okay, and that's on your website. You can access.
Oh no, my website. This website is just there in pause because this is like my identity of singer songwriter in the music industry. But in my Instagram tomorrow, I have the strawberry full moon ceremony
Okay, okay,
and online, and I have many people who are from Taino descent, and I do these ceremonies twice a month. The new moon ceremonies are just women's circles, and the full moon no, not tomorrow, on Friday, and the full moons are for everyone. So there I play the Mayowakan and I chant for inducing people to a shamanic journey, and it is all the time with a theme. I always have a theme for and it's mixed with astrology, and you know how we were good astronomers and how we are all, you know, made from the same stuff. Even, you know, the stars and us, we are just one. So it's based on that principle.
okay, and that's your Instagram is where people can.
Yes, I have two Instagram. One is Irka Mateo, and the other one is Sacred Taino Healing.
Okay, I'm just writing it down if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I invite anyone who wants to come, and because it's Taino oriented. I do the 7 Taino directions that I have myself, and so that's it. Even though I have people from indigenous people, also from other nations and tribes, and I have also European people. I mean, it is a beautiful melting pot of people who are spiritually oriented and
Right. I'm sorry. It's called Sacred Taino. What was
healing.
healing?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And then I guess just the very last thing before I go, I think I mentioned to you in that email because I was doing a whole report when I was doing my folklore masters on Siguapas, and I found that video that had your song at the end. And I
Yes.
was like, this song sounds very, very indigenous to me because it's just it sounded like it was just a maraca and drums and you singing. And I think it was called Arboreals. So it had a name.
Aldeborahel, yeah.
Okay. And did you write that, or did that come from somewhere else you believe to have some kind of indigenous root, or?
This song, the first part of this song is the author is Eddie Herman that I already talked to you about. He was the shaman in my concert Surcondursi. And the second part, I wrote the second part. So because it is a part of our spirituality, right? It is the first shaman who was Guajayona, and then the second part with I talk about Guabonito because Guabonito was this Bautío that Guajayona encountered, and she killed him from the what is the syphilis, the American syphilis that he had, and so she took him to this cave and he did all this fasting, and she killed him or cured him with these herbs. So Eddie, he did this song. It goes, Aldeborahel de mi Guajayona estaré, de mi Guarocota y no va estaré. Guabonito, Bautío, Guabonito, Bautío, Guanarasiba, Guani, Guanarasiba, Guani. So
You can see I've listened to it enough now. I'm like singing it myself when I'm at home. So yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the rhythm. I love the lyrics and everything.
Yes, he had another name after he was killed from this because his name was Guajayon, and then he got Aldeborahel, which is like the star that bright in the sky, and then Guabonito killed him and also give him the Siba and the Guanin that he will use as a boat.
Yeah.
So the song talks about this this passage of our spirituality.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. That's what first I
Okay.
know who that is, and I love this song. This is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, thank you so much on behalf of all of us. Muchas gracias, Home. Thank you very, very much. This has been so wonderful. And I'm going to share this interview with the rest of the group. And I will tell them also about your, where they can follow you on the Irka Mateo and also the Sacred Taino Healing to participate in the ceremonies, because I'm sure, I know I would, and I know a lot of the rest of us would like to do it. Yes, just so honored to, encantada to meet you, to speak with you. It's really it's amazing that I've been following your work for like 10 years, and it's like, oh my God, I'm actually talking to her. I'm sounding like a school fangirl, but but it's just amazing. And your message, I think, is more important now than ever. In the message of healing, especially with what is going on in the world right now. So I think it's fate that I would be able to talk to you about it right now, and I hope that message will inspire everyone else who hears this interview and who follows your work.
Yeah, thank you so much, Natalie.
Thank you so much. Please be safe. Please be well, you and your family, and hopefully when things are good again, we can be together. Everyone can be together again.
Yes, exactly. And then I want to know about your work.
Okay. Yes.
Write to me. Let me know in an email what you're doing, or because you're an anthropologist, and I'm very interested in what you're doing.
Of course, yeah, sure. We're on Facebook, we're on email. I mean,
Yeah, write me.
everything's like on hold right now since the COVID. So
Yeah.
I've like, you know, there's not too much going on right now, but I'm happy to share what I was working on before.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I want to know.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Natalie.
Yes. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Good one.
Bye.